I agree with your analysis, but I don't think BRICS is dead. Okay, well, give me an example. Okay, you don't think BRICS is dead? So let's start with it. Let's start with Brazil. You think Brazil is a major economic player right now? You think Brazil, with their fucking political infighting and the next fucking coup and revolution that's about to happen there because of Bolsonaro and then the new guy and all of the infighting, you think that they're an economic powerhouse right now? I wouldn't put them on the fucking list of economic powerhouses. So let's move to the R, Russia. Russia's sanctioned from the entire world. They've lost probably 10% or 12% of their male population to a war. The only way they're funding themselves is by basically selling oil to China and using crypto to do it. But they did have India on board, but now India signed with the United States and they're not going to buy oil anymore. So now they're really fucked. So let's go with I, India. India's not going to be on BRICS. India's not going to fucking break away. India's going to play both sides. India's going to make all their fucking money selling and working with people in China and Russia, and they're also going to make it from the United States with all the investment being poured into there. $100 billion being committed from Mag 7 companies to that country. It's the biggest emerging market in the world. They're going to play both sides. You think they're going to fucking cut off the U.S. for the rest of the fucking future to join BRICS and like walk away from the dollar? Insane. South Africa's going through apartheid 2.0. You think South Africa is a fucking economic powerhouse right now? They're on the brink of fucking civil war down there. So then you got China to hold up the entire rest of it. China's got a population crisis. 3 years in a row, population is decreasing. It's falling off a cliff. And they don't do immigration. And the population that's there is aging. And the younger population, there's less and less of them. And they're going to have to fucking take care of those aging people because of how nuclear families work over there. So they're going to be working even more to care for more people. I mean, they're going to have even less kids. Where's your thesis that BRICS is going to take down the United States right now? And this isn't American exceptionalism. This is just looking at the broad picture. That alliance is not capable of convincing the rest of the world to move off the US dollar. There is no way in hell someone in the world, a country in the world, is going to say, I want to decouple from the U.S. I want to sell all my U.S. debt. I want to sell all my dollars and not be able to trade with the United States, who is the number one, by far, 33 to 36% of the entire world's consumerism comes from America. I am going to decouple from the dollar, collapse all the fucking, give up all that debt, not be able to trade with them in dollars, to now go with a fractured group of countries all over the world that are fucking falling apart or we're falling apart too, but we're the single major nation because of everything. And that I'm going to decouple from the dollar to go with them. That's your thesis. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't understand where in that scenario you see BRICS being the fucking powerhouse. If I'm wrong, please. I think if all BRICS work together, but they can't work together. They're having too much shit in their own countries. I was a little worried, or not worried. I was a little convinced that BRICS might be a major player when U.S. and Trump fucking made India start making up with China and shit like that. And I thought, okay, India was the big player. India was going to be, not China, India was going to be the glue that held BRICS together. But once they signed the trade deal and they're back in the saddle, that was it. You're talking specifically about China? You said BRICS. You said BRICS. You didn't say China. You said BRICS. No. If you want to have an actual conversation and engage, you can't do it in bad faith, bro. No. I laid out my thing. You can't just then turn around and be like, no, I meant only China. No, bro. No. I'm not going to engage with you anymore because now it's bad faith. This isn't a real conversation anymore. This is just, no. Fuck all that shit. No, there's always one in there. I don't know why I fucking waste my time. Why is it an all or nothing scenario? With applicants, BRICS could represent almost half the global economy. Surely, if there was a will, there would be real damage. India is not fully tied to the West, is it? Who's India? India's not going to, who are they going to sell to? Who's the investment's going to come from? China wants shit done in country. They want to have control. They're not going to outsource to India. We've got manufacturers moving from China. This isn't China is collapsing, China's done. I'm talking about BRICS in its current form with its current nations are not a threat. And this isn't American exceptionalism. From an economic standpoint, they're not a serious threat to take down the dollar and the America and those trade agreements and move people off the dollar right now. That alliance, while on paper is nice when you look at the size of GDP and stuff like that, the actual alliance itself doesn't give enough confidence to the rest of the world to say, I want to move away from the dollar to move with them, because that's a better long-term opportunity for us and our economy and everything. It's just not right now, especially because U.S. is a consumer economy and these other nations aren't necessarily. They're producers. They're producers. India is becoming a consumer economy, and that's why I said that's why I've invested in Walmart for Flipkart, and why I said India is the glue that holds them together. They're not consumer economies, and if countries are already importing from them for different specific needs, you know, it's just not. My point is that it's not that it's never going to be a possibility in the future. Things could change. I mean, Turkey wants in; they're not going to get in. Saudi Arabia might get in. There's some plays there, but they're too reliant on the U.S. with military and weapons deals and stuff like that. It's just that when you step back and you look at the big picture, and you say to yourself, for BRICS to be legit, they would have to convince lots of major, you know, GDP, top 30, top 35 GDP nations to abandon the dollar and move on to that currency. I don't see that. Not in its current capacity. That could change in the future. Again, that's just my opinion. I mean, there's things that I can't see that maybe, you know, going on behind the scenes, puppet strings or something like that. But if you were to tell me, put a gun to my head right now and say, do you go all in on BRICS or stay with the U.S. right now? Nothing tells me that in the next 5 to 10 years that the U.S. is in danger of losing their economic dominance. Now, that could change. That could change. But BRICS versus the U.S. and the U.S. dollar, not just because of the U.S. economy, but because of what the U.S. did after World War I, when they basically convinced a bunch of nations who were limping out from World War I that they should use dollars as the fund coupons to represent gold, so we can move gold around, and instead of doing it, basically pull a Knights Templar and say, okay, well, the dollar's doing this, and then they collected more dollars for debt and to trade, and then, you know, and then the U.S. went from a producer to a consumer. It's just, you can't unravel. For example, if you were in shape and you gain a lot of weight, it takes you years to do that. So when you start working out and you start trying to lose weight, it's going to take you years to lose that. You didn't gain it overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight. The U.S. can just arbitrarily just kick nations off SWIFT based on Trump's ego. I'm not saying BRICS is ahead of the U.S. No one is saying that. But I'm saying that the current political climate, the U.S. expansionism and its inability has allowed the world looking at China, an extension of BRICS, and being like, maybe we do need to start hedging our bets here. And that is nothing. That is completely opposite of what you said. This is why I'm very upset I engaged with you. You had a bad faith conversation. This is not what I said. I didn't say China is dead. I didn't say that China is not you know, people aren't going to decouple or de-risk from the U.S. They're already doing that. They're doing it in Europe. They're doing it in other places. Japan's even doing it. They're not going to get rid of it, but they're not going to dump everything. But there's some risk involved. But Trump is a short-term thing. Long-term economics do not care about Trump. Okay? They don't care about him. That's why the Liberation Day shit didn't last very long, and we bought stocks there. Because he is a temper tantrum. He's like a toddler that's just fucking not letting his way and willy-nilly and doing all this stuff like that. But this is long-term. People aren't going to give up trillions of dollars in future trade because some brat in the White House fucking got mean and fucking said something or slapped some tariffs or said, oh, you're off the SWIFT banking for this. They're not going to be like, oh, okay, well, guess what? We're going to give up the next 50 years and $50 trillion worth of trade and go with this other country because they hurt our feelings. No, people go with who is the strongest, who is best positioned, and who's going to make their money. 2008, everybody got wiped out because the banks over-leveraged themselves and took risky trades. And then they got bailed out. Did everybody say, oh, I'm taking my money out of JP Morgan and out of Chase and Wachovia and Citigroup and I'm going to go find a different bank who wasn't? No. People don't, feelings and money, separate your feelings from money and you'll see differently. People don't care about feelings. You had somebody, if some guy, you know, fucked your girlfriend in school. He was your friend and he fucked your girlfriend behind your back and you hate that motherfucker and you don't ever want to talk to him again. And now all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, down the line, the guy reaches out to you and says, hey man, I know you probably fucking hate me, but I got nobody else. I'm literally about to die. I hate my family. And you were my best friend back in school. And I'm sitting on, I bought Bitcoin when it was like $1 and I'm still holding it. And I don't want my family to get it, and I don't know what's going to happen to it. You're the only person that was ever like good to me when we were younger. I want to give it to you before I go. You really think you're going to be like, nah, man, fuck you. You betrayed me. You fucked my girlfriend. No. No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't give a shit. It don't matter anymore. You don't care. You really gonna, oh, well, they did something wrong to me 15 years ago. Yes? Okay. No, I don't want your $25 million in Bitcoin in your wallet because your family's a piece of shit and, you know, you hate your ex-wife, who is my girlfriend at the time, whatever, and you're lonely and you're just like, you feel bad about what happened and you know that I was a good person and you did me wrong and you're like, you know, I want to give it to you. You're not going to fucking be like, nah, bro, I don't want that 25 million in Bitcoin because before you go, bro, just let that shit go into the abyss. Let it go to the abyss, man. You did me wrong. You don't give a shit anymore. That's because money and ain't nobody in here. Anybody who says no, they wouldn't accept it if it was real, they're full of shit. Money and feelings don't go together, bro. People invest their money, big money, not people, individuals, maybe not you or your neighbor, your auntie, or your fucking, you know, your brother who's actually, you know, actually your dad, and your parents just, you know, took care of you because your brother, you know, fucking, or your dad had you when he was 16 and couldn't be a dad, so your parents fucking adopted your grandson but told you that you were brothers because it makes you feel better. I know somebody like that. No, man. Big money, billions, trillions of dollars. Don't fucking move off of, oh, Orange Man hurt my feeling. It's, has he done something that is going to make our relationship, make us lose money in 10, 20 years? Do we have a better opportunity? No. You may de-risk and threaten to sell some debt and offload a couple billion here and there, and you might do all that, but you're just playing the long game. Play the opposite. All these companies that are out here like pledging hundreds of billions of dollars in infrastructure so that they can get around Trump's tariffs. They don't actually plan on. You think they actually are going to spend you think UAE is going to spend $600 billion in the United States? You really think that's what they're going to do? No, they just say, yeah, sure, and then they'll start building something, or Amazon or Apple, and they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna build all of our stuff here, and it's gonna be American jobs, yay! Now Trump gets a win because it looks like he's bringing back these jobs, and it's and what Apple does is they say, okay, well, we're gonna go find some land, and they're gonna intentionally go find a place where they know damn well that they're gonna have permit problems and regulatory problems and pushback from the local area. Get that shit tied up. 6 months of fighting that. Oh, can't put it there. All right, well, we're going to go somewhere else. Then they go somewhere else, and they're like, there's no regulatory issues here. We're going to start breaking ground here. They break ground. They do it slowly, and in 3 months, they find out that they're on fucking shale oil, or they're on swampland, or there's some geothermal problem, or there's a fucking, they actually have the EPA come in and say you're up against a wildlife reserve. Oh, can't do that. They drag their feet. They drag their feet for 3 years. They spend $1 billion in fucking constructions and permits and moving stuff and commitments and stuff like that. They save $80 billion in tariffs, spend $1 billion, and then when Trump's out of office, never mind, fuck it. Welcome to how the world works, guys. This has been a very odd stream. It's too slow and too quiet in here. Why are you so confident in everything you say? You act like there's no, it's not that I'm confident. It's not an egotistical, like, I am right. It is, this is what I see based on all of these things. Like, this is a fact of a matter of these different things. There's different facts, and this is how I interpret those facts in the future thing. It's not that I'm confident in it. It's just I take what is, and I think, and I try to put together and say, this is what I take from all of that data and what I see forward. It's not that I'm like, this is the truth. China and BRICs is never going to be a threat, or nobody can ever sell. No, things can change, but with what we know right now, that is the scenario.